Hwa Young, then called Hwa Jin, was 10 years old when her world quite literally fell apart. It wasn't a world, technically, but a clanner moon called carnelian for the red hue of its soil. Like all the moons and moonlets in the Moonstorm, it had an erratic orbit. Unfortunately, this month its path had taken it close to the border of the Empire of Nuchoson, which left the adults of Hwa Jin's household arguing over whether they needed to evacuate and shelter from Imperial attackers. Mother Era glowered at eldest Paik, who stood blocking the door. "You're wasting time," she said. "The sooner we get out of here, the safer we'll be. I was just in the comms with the lookout tower. The Imperials are sending a real fleet for once, not a detachment of raiders." "It's just another false alarm," eldest Paik said. Z had unusual light eyes, almost amber, which shone against her tawny skin and black hair, shared by most clanners. The oldest of the household's 5 adults, Paik was adamantly against taking shelter. Z sounded so reasonable that Hwa Jin almost believes her. Even if the other 4 adults and older children looked skeptical. "There hasn't been a full-scale assault since I was a little. The Imperials will harass us for a bit, then go away like they always do when a moon swings too close to the territory." Hwa Jin watched in silence, fidgeting with a toy she had outgrown half a year ago, a long stick carved to resemble a blaster rifle. She had begun practicing with the real thing when she turned 10. Unlike a kinetic rifle, which fired bullets instead of energy bursts, there was no recoil to worry about. All the clanners, including carnelian settlers, understood the importance of training young, training early, not only to hunt moon rabbits for the stew pot, but to defend themselves from bandits or Imperial marauders. The clanners and their intricate networks of families had settled the Moonstorm in centuries long past. Most of them were descended from explorers and adventurers, miners and scientists, who had preferred their freewheeling communities to the Empire's stricter, centralized rule. At first, the Empire had left them alone. But that had changed before Hwa Jin was born, and so she had always known the Empire as a threat. According to her family, the Imperials worshipped their empress and carried out strange, twisted rituals. Too strange and twisted to be described in detail to a 10-year-old, which of course made them much more interesting. The Imperials' rituals summoned gravity, just like theirs did. But their gravity and the clanners couldn't coexist, like oil refusing to mix with water. The Imperials had been fighting for generations to replace the clanners' rituals with their own, so they could take control of the entire Moonstorm. Ordinarily, in a situation like this, Hwa Jin would have just accepted eldest Paik's lead. But Hwa Jin was Mother Era's heart daughter, what the Imperials called a clone, as if the relationship could be reduced to mere genetics. When Hwa Jin grew up, she would have the same angular face, the same long-lashed dark eyes, the same rangy hunter's build and reflexes. Hwa Jin couldn't help but feel closest to Mother Era, and she hated disagreeing with her. The 3 other adults, bear-like Munchik, graceful Minu, Yura, who cooked so well, were nice enough to her and her siblings and cousins. But Hwa Jin herself was Mother Era's only heart child, and she was quietly proud of the fact, even at a time like this. Still, she wished the household's adults would come to a formal decision one way or another, signaling their vote on a course of action by displaying their knives. Blade outward for yes, hilt outward for no.